Welcome back to Mama. I'm going to continue with the Four Noble Truths, and this is actually my 5th talk on the topic. We have spent some time, at least if I remember correctly, at least 3 Dharma talks on the 2nd Noble Truth, the cause of suffering. I think it is important that we understand the causes so that we can try to eradicate our defilements at the root level, just like curing a disease. We first have to find out what is the cause for this disease before we can apply any medication. Agree? So, suffering or misery are the results of our unwholesome actions we perform. Now, these unwholesome actions are connected to our defiled mental factors. So, according to Venerable Master Insun, the mental defilement or vexation is a very complicated and difficult subject to apprehend. So it's not that easy to understand. But that's all right. We'll do our best. We'll try our best. Now, there are 2 levels to understand the mental factors. Okay, one would be like at the grosser or surface level. The other one would be a subtler and a deeper level. At the grosser or surface level, defilements can be categorized into 3 streams. And I believe that all of us already heard about that. This is also known as the 3 poisons. What are they? Craving, aversion, and ignorance. Now these are actually the root causes for our suffering in life. Well, the 3 poisons actually are referring to the beings in the desire realm. I know that there are a lot of terms that I'm going to talk about that you're not familiar with, but that's all right. I'm just planting a little tiny seed so that eventually with fertilizers, rain or water, sunshine, this little tiny seed is going to sprout. So if you don't get it at this point of time, don't worry about the terms. Now, the grosser and surface level is mainly geared towards or referring to the beings in the desire realm, namely human beings. So we are actually in the desire realm. But there are 3 realms: the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. Don't worry, I'm not going to get into details in those realms today, at least today. Being a human, as a human being, we actually have the most complicated mental factors. Okay, more complicated than a dog, than the birds, than an insect. They are all beings in this desire realm. Now, all depends on which school of thought. According to a commentary called the Abhidhamma Sumuccaya, there are 51 mental factors, and out of those 51, 22 are defiled mental factors. Last time, I think we did. If you were not here last time, that's all right. We have all these Dharma talks online that you can either audio, listen to it, or we have videos on it too. So if you miss some of the points, you can go back to our website and listen to those. Last time we have examined some of the defilements at the grosser level. And today, I'm going to take you all to another level, called the subtler or deeper level. That is to say, we're going to visit, instead of a mundane level, we're going to visit the supra-mundane level. So the mundane level, just to explain it a little bit, is what happened in our daily life. Okay? We said that, I'm craving for a bigger house, for example. That's at the mundane level. But if I'm craving for liberation, that is another level. Okay? If I'm craving for an airplane to fly from here to there in this world, that's a little bit of the mundane level. Well, that is actually the mundane level. If I'm craving for a spacecraft to travel from galaxy to galaxy, what kind of level is that? Sorry, it's still the mundane level. Because these are still material things that we crave for. So we're saying that mental actions connected with defiled mental factors lead to unwholesome physical or verbal actions that would generate what we call the unwholesome karmic energy. Now, when the conditions are favorable, such karmic energy would later bring suffering or misery as results. In the Buddhist term, according to the Yogacara school, it is called the ripening and functioning of the bija, the seeds. I just mentioned the seeds, right? We plant a little seed in the ground, and it's there. If we perform any action, we generate karmic energy, or we generate what we call the karma or sankhara. It's there. Okay? The point is that if we want good result, then we water it. We put it under the sun, give it enough sunlight, and we put fertilizer. We take care of it. We sing for it. To get that seed sprout to a big, huge tree, so that we have the fruit, sweet fruits. But what if we do something that is not that wholesome, and we don't want that seed to sprout? Okay? Let's think about it. How do we do it? It's already done. Seed's already in there. So we just keep on uncondition it, like, well, I'm going to put rocks over it. I'm going to put it in a dark room. I'm going to put it, without water. So the seed will not ripen or sprout into fruit. So what we need to do is to try to eradicate defilements and cultivate wholesome mental factors, so that our actions will be connected with wholesomeness and will generate wholesome karmic energy, later give rise to happiness or good results. Such kind of happiness, good results, remain in the mundane level. Because once we were born, we are rushing towards death. Agree? There's no escape on that. We still have to go through birth, sickness, aging, and death. So how do we get out this circle of what we call the samsara, or becoming? We have to practice the path of liberation at a higher level, at a mundane, supra-mundane level. Now, according to Venerable Master Insun, when the Buddha gave sermon on defilements of all sentient beings, in addition to those 3 poisons, there are 4 more types of defilements or afflictions that exist not just only in the desire realm, but also in the form and formless realm. What are the four? Number one is ignorant about the self. 我是 ignorant. Number two is self-view, 我见. Number three is self-conceit, 我慢. And the fourth is self-love. Let's try to understand this a little bit. Ignorant about the self. We are ignorant about the reality of a non-self. There is no such thing as non-changeable permanent self. And you think that, what do you mean by non-self? I'm here. I'm sitting here. Okay? But tell me, which one is yourself? When you were a baby? When you are an adult? Which part is the self? The body? The mind? And which part of your body or your thought is not changing? When you're sitting here meditating, your mind is thinking about, what's for lunch? In the next second, you will be thinking that, where should I go after lunch? Maybe a movie or something. TV? Or ball game. So the mind is constantly changing every split second. So is our body. If you don't believe me, sit there for 1 hour without moving. And be mindful on each single part of your cell, of the cell of your body. And witness that it's arising, staying for a little while, fading, and finally goes away. For instance, you sit there for a while, your leg is in pain. Watch that pain. Watch it. Watch it. See how long does this pain is going to go away. And you're saying that, hey, Kathy, you're talking about impermanent, but this pain is permanent. It's not going to go away. Watch it for 1 hour. The pain is going to turn into numbness, tightness. You feel the heat. You feel it vibrating up and down, arising and ceasing, changing. So, we are ignorant that there is a permanent, non-changing self. That's number one. Number two is called self-view. And due to our illusion, we cling to the view or idea of an inherent self. I'm not going to die. It's my next door neighbor that is going to have an accident. Not me. I'm going to be here forever. I'm going to raise my kids. I'm going to raise my grandkids. I'm going to raise my great-grandkids. Not believing that one day I won't exist. Or even if I die, that's all right. Because I have this permanent soul that I'm going to go to heaven and live happily ever after. Continuation. Even if we believe that reincarnation or rebirth, that is all right. I am still exist. Even though I become a dog. Hey, this is Candy Choi as a dog. Okay? Continuation. Illusion, delusion. Self-conceit. Egoism. Proud. See, I'm so good, I'm sitting here and giving Dharma talk. I must be good. Look, I'm a Dharma teacher, don't argue with me. I'm so proud of myself. Self-love, attachment and clinging to this, what we call the self. According to Venerable Master answer, because of these four types of defilements or afflictions, we are bounded to the cycle of rebirth, life after life. Think about every morning you get up from the bed, whether you have a good night's sleep or not. You have to get up and you have to brush your teeth. Questionable sometimes. And then you have to have breakfast. And then you have to go to the bathroom. And then you start your whole day's routine. Go through 20 or 12 hours, let's say. After that, what do? You go back to bed. Right? And you wake up the next morning and you brush your teeth. And you eat your breakfast. And you start another day. Day after day, day after day, day after day. Tell me one day that you don't eat. Okay, you can fast for one day. Tell me one day that you don't go to the bathroom. Okay, you can hold it for a day. Day after day, life after life, life after life. So this is what happened when we have the three poison and these four afflictions. To come out of it, we have a way. We have a way. So what do we need to do? We need to eradicate all these defilements, not just at the mundane level, but also at the supramundane level. There are various discourses explaining the three poison, the four afflictions, the 10 fetters. To sum up, the cause for suffering is ignorance. That is the underlying cause. Craving, aversion, other stuff, other kind of defilements are just immediate. This is a very light word. Are immediate causes. We crave and get angry or become sad because we are ignorant about the reality. Now, we already identify, I think that I just mentioned that we had at least 3 talks on the causes. Okay? I can go on the causes forever, but I'm going to put a stop on the cause and let's move on. At least right now we have some idea about the causes. And I would like to move on and look at the third noble truth, which is the cessation of suffering. Now, when I mention cessation of suffering, the questions to be asked. Can we actually put an end to suffering? Can we actually do that? Can we actually enter the state of birth and death? Or non-birth and non-death? Can we actually remove all our defilements and experience the Nibbanic peace? From his own experience, the Buddha assured us that we can put an end to all sufferings and achieve liberation. He used the 12 links of dependent origination to explain the process of suffering. In your handout, you have a list. At the top, it's called the mundane order. Now, this is a chain. I like to use the word chain. And also, the word link is very important too. The word chain is like, actually a chain that is tying us into this cycle of rebecoming. Okay, we are actually chained. The chain started with ignorance, the underlying cause. Ignorance is the supporting condition for relation. Don't worry about the terms at this point. You can, if you like, and I highly recommend, this is an important teaching. I highly recommend that you go home and Google it. Okay, find out more information about this. So I'm just, going to go through this real quick. Ignorance is the supporting condition for volition. Volition is the supporting condition for consciousness. Then consciousness supporting name and form. Name and form supporting six sense bases. Supporting the condition, the contact. My eyesight is not that good. Contact is the supporting condition for feeling for craving, clinging, grasping, becoming supporting for birth, and birth is the supporting condition for sickness, aging, lamentation, all those dukkha, suffering. Finally, we died. And after the death, the circle doesn't end. After the end of the current life period, due to our ignorance, I want to be here again. I want to live again. I want to have this body and mind again, craving for existence. And then we're chained again in the cycle. Like this, we're trapped in the cycle of rebecoming or rebirth. Now, there are various teachings on how to cut this link, how to cut this chain. One of the good places to cut the chain is feeling. When our sixth sense door or sixth sense bases come in contact with external object or internal object from our experience, feeling arises on the body and also sometimes in the mind. Okay? When feeling arises, a normal person will react. Okay? A mosquito fly and bite me. The instant reflection will be what? Right? Or if we don't kill it or smash it, there is a tiny little sense within the mind saying, go away, I don't want to, go away. Right? This is part of aversion. This is some sort of a defilement connected with the defiled mental factor. So, what do we do? When things happen, when feeling arises on the body, stay calm. With the understanding that all these pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feelings are another type of phenomenon. It's going to stay for a while, it arises, stay for a while, it's going to go away. Somebody scold you, abuse you, say something that you don't like, and you cling to it. I'm going to remember this, and I'm going to hate this person for at least 1 week. Good. You're suffering for the entire week. Oh, such a terrible person. I'm going to remember you for the rest of my life. I won't forgive. I won't forget. Okay? Be your own guest. You're going to suffer for the entire life. I won't forgive you for life after life. Congratulations. You are not only chained to the samsara, the cycle of rebirth. You're also chained to suffering, life after life. When the person gets angry, the hellfire is burning within. So don't react. Do not react with your habitual pattern. Try to understand and give rise to wisdom that our perception sometimes can deceive us. What we understand may not be the facts. One example. You walk into your workplace, and you see your colleagues there whispering. And once they see you walk in, they keep quiet. What is your reaction at that time? These guys are telling something behind my back. So you become cautious, and you stir up unpleasant feelings. You have doubts. Okay? You might not take any reaction or action, but the little thing that is stirred in your mind, and next time you see them, you kind of like, you guys, I thought you were my friends, but you talk behind my back. Real? True? It turns out they're planning a surprise birthday party for you. Okay? So what is the fact? Our eyes, our nose, our ears sometimes are deceiving. It's based on our perception. It is very important to understand this causal relationship that all phenomena cannot exist without cause. They are sustained only as long as their sustaining factors remains. And I'm going to quote a sutta here. It's from Samyutta Nikaya 12.61. It says, when this exists, that comes to be. When the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. When the cessation of this, that cease. So it's all conditioned. Okay? If I hold this statue and I dropped it. Okay? If I don't pick up this one and the statue will be saved. Okay. So the cause is I picking up this and I drop it to cause this to broken. Okay? Cause and effect, cause and condition. Now I would like to share with you, I know that my time is very limited. If I don't finish it on time, there is the list that you can go home and maybe do a little bit study on it. Bhikkhu Bodhi wrote in his writing, this in this article is called Transcendental Depending Arising, a translation and exposition of the Upanishad Sutta. Explain that we can understand the 12 links from 2 lines. I just mentioned that, one way to cut off the link is from feeling without reaction, right? So feeling does not turn into craving. Then without craving, we won't cling. Without cling, we won't grasp. Without grasping, we won't becoming. We won't enter into the state of becoming. And then we won't get birth. If we are not born, we're definitely not going to die. Right? Okay, those are explaining the conditions. Now, Bhikkhu Bodhi, how to reverse this chain? Bhikkhu Bodhi mentioned it, there are 2 lines. One is the mundane or ordinary order, okay? The other one is called the transcendental order. Now, one of the lines is how to understand the link by tracing backwards, okay? We are already here. We're already going through suffering. So we begin with aging, death as fundamental manifestation of suffering in the world and trace it back to ignorance as the underlying cause. Now another way of doing it is to start with the defilements as the principal obstruction to emancipation. And in this approach, this is pretty new to me. This approach is pretty new to me. It says defilements are sustained by ignorance. Ignorance by distracted mind. The mind is distracted is due to lack of faith in true Dharma. Okay? Now, according to the sutta, the Upanishad Sutta, the sequence will be to achieve the deliverance, defilements must be removed through this passion. To reach this passion, ignorance must be overcome by correct understanding. To arouse correct understanding, the mind must be concentrated and so on and so forth. Through the counter condition, down to the development of faith in the true Dharma. Now, Bhikkhu Bodhi outlined these two sets of links. Like I said, it's on your outline, on your handouts. I would like to briefly share these sets, okay? It's the second set on your handout, the transcendental order, okay? Now, I'm not going to go into details because I don't have time for that. I wish, maybe in the future, that we will have time or opportunity to actually sit down and study this in detail or thoroughly. So, in the mundane order, birth is the condition for sickness, aging, and all kinds of suffering. We already know that. Now, this teaching in this sutta, the Upanishad Sutta, is a turning point, switching from the mundane level to the transcendental level, or supramundane level. Now, it begins with suffering, the last link at the mundane level, and turn it into the supporting condition for faith. In this way, suffering is actually a good thing. Right? Not quite. How can suffering be a good thing? But actually here, at the supramundane level, suffering is the supporting condition for faith. Now, Bhikkhu Bodhi mentioned that the Buddha declared that suffering actually is, the Buddha actually said that, declare that suffering is the supporting condition for faith. He points to the essential backdrop to the awakening of religious consciousness. Faith does not arise spontaneously. It requires a turn against the current. You're flowing down the river, going up, back up. So against the current, it's an upward battle to establish the firm and true faith. Suffering become a motivation questing for enlightenment. So if you're too comfortable with all the luxury, you never suffer before, you don't have the motivation or the urge to seek for enlightenment or seek for liberation. What do you mean by liberation? I'm so liberated right now. So you don't have the urge to seek for it. So suffering actually is a motivation. The next one is joy. Joy, faith is actually supporting the condition for joy. Once you establish your true, firm faith, the joy inside, the joy within is immeasurable. Okay? Because you find a way to liberate yourself. Before you just, I suffer, I don't suffer, I don't suffer. But now you have this faith on the path. So the joy is hardly expressed by words. The next one is rapture. Now joy is the supporting condition for rapture. Now rapture actually arising or more referring to the state of concentration. It's a unification of the mind and body. When we sit for meditation, our mind is talking, constantly talking. Oh, I don't want this pain. Oh, I'm doing so good, I'm sitting so well. Talking, talkative mind. So rapture actually arises when the unification of the body and the mind through meditation practice. The next step is tranquility. Rapture is the supporting condition for tranquility. Now, there is a danger when you reach this state. During meditation, or when you're at meditation, when tranquility arises, be very careful. Because the tendency, the danger is that when you're so comfortably sitting there with all the bliss throughout the whole body, then, so good, I don't want to let it go. I want to stay in this state. Craving is going to arise, so be very careful. Happiness, tranquility is the supporting condition for happiness. According to Bhikkhu Bodhi, happiness is a pure hedonic factor belonging to the second aggregate, which is the feeling. Now the pleasures spring up in meditation. This kind of pleasure feeling is going to spring up in meditation when the disturbance subsides. And the next one will be concentration. I would like to continue, but I would like to jump to the last one. The last one is knowledge of destruction of cankers. When you go through all these steps, okay, concentration, knowledge and vision of Yatha Buddha, I just use the things as they are. This enchantment, this passion is actually the first straight supramundane stage. So all I just mentioned, I call it the supramundane, but they are pre-supramundane, how about that? Until you get to this passion, then you are actually entered into the supramundane level. Okay? And then the next one is emancipation. The last one is the knowledge of destruction of cankers. Now this is where the fruition, the 4 stages, okay? You're stream enterer, you're one returner, you're non-returner, or you're arahant. And sometimes you know, which state am I? Am I really attaining that fruition? Okay. This is the state that you can check, you can review. Is my defilement being destroyed? And which one of the defilement being destroyed at this state that you can actually certify yourself that have you abandoned the defilements? You do that by penetration of the Four Noble Truths. So, even though I was talking the 12 links, actually I didn't leave the Four Noble Truths. I purposely put the 12 link at the Third Noble Truth, so that we understand that, yes, suffering can cease. Look at the 12 links. Here is the teaching. So, the teaching of the dependent arising is extremely profound, and we might want to study into more details, maybe in the future. As for now, we just finish the cessation of suffering. May all beings be happy. May all